Manchester, a city famous for its students, its music, its endless nightlife. But in the early hours of the morning, when the clubs emptied and the laughter faded, a man named Reynhard Sinaga was still awake. He wasn't out to party, he was out to hunt. He looked harmless, a small, smiling student in trendy glasses. Yet beneath that calm exterior hid one of the most prolific sexual predators in British history. This is the story of how police uncovered his secret life and the unimaginable crimes that changed the way a nation understood sexual violence. Reynhard Sinaga was born in 1983 in Jambi, Indonesia, and grew up in a comfortable middle-class home. He was bright, ambitious, and polite, the kind of person parents pointed to as a model student. In 2007, he moved to the United Kingdom to study. He earned degrees in sociology, and by 2012, he was pursuing a PhD in human geography. His research explored gender and sexuality, topics he claimed were academic, but which investigators would later learn mirrored his own obsessions. To friends, he was the perfect housemate, neat, generous, always offering a couch to crash on. He was friendly, charming, almost gentle. But the reality behind that smile was something no one could have imagined. Sinaga's social circle revolved around Manchester's nightlife, particularly the Canal Street district. He seemed to know everyone: bartenders, students, visitors. He was that familiar face who always appeared when you needed a bit of help getting home. What no one realized was that his small, tidy flat on Princess Street was more than a student apartment. It was the center of a predatory operation so methodical that detectives later described it as industrial in scale. For Sinaga, the nightlife wasn't about dancing or friendship. It was about identifying targets: young men leaving bars alone, dazed from alcohol, vulnerable and trusting. He would smile, speak softly, and offer what sounded like kindness. "Hey mate, you okay? My place is right nearby. Come rest until morning." And almost every time they said yes. Once inside, he offered a drink. Most victims remember nothing after that, because they were never meant to. Investigators believe Sinaga used GHB, a fast-acting sedative. Within minutes, the men would lose consciousness. And once they did, Sinaga began recording. Hours of footage show the same pattern. A man motionless on the floor or bed, Sinaga carefully positioning a camera, committing his assaults, and sometimes whispering comments as if filming a performance. When the drugs wore off, the victims would wake up disoriented, confused, and grateful that someone had given them a place to rest. Sinaga would chat casually, even offer breakfast before sending them home, erasing any suspicion. He kept doing this for years, hundreds of nights, hundreds of victims. It all unraveled in June 2017. That night, one of his intended victims woke up mid-attack. He regained consciousness, realized what was happening, and fought back. Sinaga tried to stop him, but the man escaped the flat and called police. When officers arrived, they found Sinaga unconscious on the floor. His own victim had knocked him out while fleeing. They arrested him on suspicion of sexual assault and seized his phones. What detectives discovered would take years to process. Over 200,000 video clips, meticulously organized, documenting dozens upon dozens of unconscious men. Each file was labeled by date and even by brief physical descriptions, evidence of an offender who viewed his crimes like trophies in a collection. The sheer volume of data stunned investigators, and with every video they opened, another life was changed forever. Greater Manchester Police launched a massive inquiry, one of the largest sexual assault investigations in British history. Officers worked day and night, piecing together timelines from CCTV footage, phone records, and the videos themselves. They contacted hundreds of men, many of whom had no memory of any assault. Some initially thought it was a prank call. Others broke down in disbelief. The scale was staggering: 190 confirmed victims, and potentially dozens more still unidentified. Sinaga had operated undetected for at least a decade. What made his crimes so chilling wasn't just the number of victims. It was the complete lack of violence in his method. He didn't need weapons. His control came from drugs, deception, and the silence of sleep. Because of the mountain of evidence, prosecutors split the case into 4 separate trials between 2018 and 2020. Each trial revealed new footage and more victims. In court, Sinaga appeared calm, even cheerful. He claimed the encounters were consensual, that the men had pretended to be asleep as part of a private fantasy. But toxicology results and digital timestamps proved otherwise. The juries heard enough. After the fourth trial, Sinaga was convicted of 159 sexual offenses, including 136 counts of rape. Judges, seasoned detectives, and reporters alike called it the worst case of its kind in modern British history. When the verdict was read, Sinaga showed no emotion, no apology, no recognition of what he had done. In January 2020, the judge sentenced Reynhard Sinaga to life imprisonment, with a minimum term of 30 years before he could even apply for parole. He called Sinaga an evil serial predator who preyed on young men seeking nothing more than a night out. The story made international headlines. For many, it was the first time they'd heard of a large-scale case of sexual violence targeting men. The case sparked national discussions about consent, drug-facilitated assault, and how victims of such crimes often don't realize what happened until years later. Charities and advocacy groups reported an increase in men seeking help. The silence was finally breaking. Today, Reynhard Sinaga remains behind bars. His old apartment stands empty, stripped of the furniture that once hid his crimes. But for investigators, the work isn't over. Hundreds of video clips still show men whose identities remain unknown. Victims who have never come forward because they don't yet know they were victimized. The case left lasting scars on the city of Manchester. It forced communities, police, and the courts to rethink assumptions about gender, vulnerability, and power. Predators, it turned out, could be anyone. A stranger, a friend, a neighbor who smiles and holds the door open. The story of Reynhard Sinaga is not one of mystery or intrigue. It's a story about trust, and how one man weaponized it to commit acts of cruelty that defy understanding. He didn't hide behind violence or threats. He hid behind kindness, offering safety to those who needed it most. And for years, that disguise worked, but his crimes were not invisible forever. One survivor fought back. Detectives refused to look away. And through their persistence, a truth buried in thousands of hours of footage finally came to light. Today, Manchester carries the memory of this case, a reminder that predators don't always look dangerous, and that silence can protect evil just as easily as it protects victims. But it's also a reminder of something else: resilience. Because in the aftermath of Sinaga's conviction came voices that had long been quiet. Survivors speaking, friends supporting, and a society learning to listen differently. No justice can erase what happened, but acknowledging it ensures it will never happen again unseen. If you or someone you know has been affected by sexual assault, support is available. In the UK, contact Rape Crisis England and Wales. In the US, contact RAINN.org or call 1-800-656-HOPE. In Canada, contact 1-800-656-4673.